This is Everybody Pulls the Tarp with your host, Andrew Moses. Each week, Andrew talks with Olympians, pro athletes, TV stars, Grammy winners, best-selling authors, CEOs, and other high performers to uncover their success secrets.
My guest is Washington Commanders running back Austin Ekeler.
Every day we write a page of our life. The best thing is you have the pen in your hand.
Three-time Olympic gold medalist Tessa Virtue. Welcome back to Everybody Pulls the Tarp.
Thanks for thinking of me, and I'm a big fan of the podcast and of yours. So anytime you text or call, I'm here.
Mike Mills from REM.
The key to that was realizing at some point fairly early on that this was probably our life's work.
Every conversation is jam-packed with inspiration and actionable ideas.
My guest is 2023 WNBA Coach of the Year, Stephanie White.
The hardest thing for a coach is trying to prioritize how much time you put in one area or another.
Former MLB player, coach, and manager Clint Hurdle.
That is the best title of any podcast out there in America, and the content matches up to it. Andrew, you do a fantastic job. I'm a big fan. Keep up the great work.
World-renowned organizing expert Shira Gill.
You can improve your life simply by removing things.
Get ready for a behind-the-scenes look at the techniques, processes, and mindsets powering the world's most successful people.
Let's go. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Everybody Pulls the Tarp. This week, my guest is Washington Spirit and U.S. Women's National Team defender, Tara McKeown. Tara and I recorded the conversation you are about to hear a few weeks ago, just one day after U.S. Soccer announced Tara's return to the U.S. Women's National Team. When Tara's not with the U.S. Women's National Team, you can find her on the field with the Washington Spirit, where she has become one of the NWSL's biggest stars. In 2021, Tara was drafted by the Spirit 8th overall in the NWSL draft, and as a rookie, played a pivotal role in the Spirit's 2021 championship season. After the 2022 NWSL season, the team's front office and coaching staff went to Tara with a bold idea. The idea was for Tara to switch positions, move from forward to defender, and be the team's center back. And as you will hear in our conversation, Tara was initially hesitant about the idea and had cold feet. But she thought about it some more, and like a true tarp puller, embraced the opportunity full steam ahead. She put in the work, and today, she's not just a center back. She is one of the best center backs in the league. In 2024, she was named a finalist for the NWSL Defender of the Year. And not only is she now one of the best at her position, she's also one of the most reliable and consistent. In 2024, she was also named an Iron Woman because she appeared in every minute of every match for her team, a feat only accomplished by 7 women in the entire league. In our conversation, we explore Tara's journey and many of the mindsets, ideas, and frameworks powering her success. We dove deep into her remarkable transformation from forward to defender, and also explored how she juggles playing for both the Spirit and the U.S. Women's National Team at the same time. My friends, this episode is about so much more than soccer. It's about adapting to new roles and balancing different responsibilities. And perhaps most importantly, this conversation is a powerful reminder of what's possible when we take on bold new challenges. I hope you take away as much from Tara as I have. Oh, and one more thing. This podcast is presented solely for educational and entertainment purposes. It is not intended to be a substitute for the advice of a physician, psychotherapist, or other qualified professional. So, let's pull the tarp and get straight to Tara McKeown. Where I want to begin, I want to go way back. I want to hear your first memory of soccer. What's your first memory of playing soccer way back?
I honestly don't have great memory, but I think probably playing at like some AYSO fields by my house, like a public park. And I'm pretty sure either my dad was the coach or like my best friend's dad was the coach. And it was like one quarter I was playing goalie, one quarter I was playing forward, and everyone was just running around chasing the ball.
Do you remember in those early days if it came easy and naturally to you, or was it something that maybe was an initial struggle? I know you don't necessarily have a great memory of it, as you said there, but what do you remember most about like those experiences in terms of whether it came easy to you or whether it was something you had to really struggle with out of the gates?
I think definitely my like touch wasn't that like what came easiest. I worked on that throughout the years, but I think always the fun and enjoyment was what always came naturally and came easiest. And that's why I like fell in love with the game.
I'll never forget when U.S. women's national team legend Christine Lilly told me that the reason that she got into soccer was the orange slices at halftime. And she told me that no matter how big the stage got throughout the course of her career, World Cups, Olympics, huge moments, she would always remind herself that she got into this sport because of the orange slices at halftime. And I think the popsicles after the games with her friends. So for her, it was about the fun and the joy. Sounds like you as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that was always a plus. After the games, you always got a little goodie.
So at what point did you feel like it started to become more than just joy and fun? Like, when did you feel like things got a little bit more serious? And I guess by more serious, I mean like a moment where either you realized or somebody told you that if you put a little bit more work into this craft, that you may be able to take yourself to some special places through the sport of soccer.
I think it was like around middle school age when I switched coaches at my club team, and it was like kind of more serious. Like you were missing weekend things like with friends who don't really play soccer. You're going out of town all the time for tournaments and like traveling a lot. And it was at that time that it was like really starting to think about getting better and doing everything I can to get better because I love the game and I knew I wanted to like play at least in college. And then once I got into high school and getting recruited for college and then going to college, I was like, okay, I really would love to play this professionally as well.
So what did that look like when you realized that you wanted to focus in on this, that you wanted to develop, certain aspects of your game? What did that look like? Did you set specific goals for yourself? Did you work with coaches and trainers that set goals for you? Like, how did you understand kind of the gap that you might need to close? Are there areas that you needed to develop to put yourself in a position to play, at least first in college, at an elite level?
Definitely with my coach at the time. He would spend a lot of time with me before training, after training, working on like little things he knew I could improve to even just make myself better for the game coming up this weekend. But it was mainly like trying to get noticed by the youth national teams, trying to get noticed by college coaches. And he always had like something in mind to work on for like that week to just better improve my game overall, really.
You were drafted 8th overall by the Spirit in the 2021 NWSL draft. I am always curious to ask elite athletes, do you feel like the jump from high school to college or from college to the pros was more challenging for you? Talk about that for a moment.
I think I would probably initially say from high school to college, just because it's a huge life change and it's going from like living with your parents, having structure throughout every day. And like, you don't really get to choose what you're doing by yourself. Like you either have training and homework and like family commitments. But then when you go to college, it's really like you just have school and soccer, but you have to make sure that you are the one who's regulating your time and making sure that like you do both to the best of your abilities and not having like that parental figure there every day telling you like, hey, you need to get your homework done. Like you're going to be late if you don't get up now. So it's like definitely that change. That's just like a lifestyle change, but it's also fun because you have like more freedom too. So it's a little bit of fun and a little bit of like getting more serious.
I think one of the challenges that I've talked about with so many other pro athletes over the years is that when you make the transition from college to the pros, suddenly like the focus is almost entirely on the sport, right? In college, you've got your social groups, you've got your academic commitments, you've got other things going on. How did you find that experience? Like when suddenly like it was, okay, this is what I've got to focus on. Did you find it freeing or did you find it maybe creating a little bit of extra stress because there was so much focus dialed into one thing and not as many outlets?
I think more freeing, honestly. I mean, I love soccer and that's always been like my favorite thing to do. So even like during college, like that was what I enjoyed doing the most. When it was like come to school, I was like, I really got to go to class today. But then when I became a professional, I was like, yay, I get to go to work and actually like do what I love and be with my friends there. And yeah, I think definitely becoming a professional, it was really like fun. And it's why I keep playing this, because it's so much fun being there and you are going to work, but it's like you're having a lot of fun throughout the day with your friends.
Let's talk about that rookie year. You were a pivotal part of the team's 2021 NWSL championship during your rookie year. That just has to be such a remarkable experience, right? To come into the league, to play on a championship level team, and then a team that actually wins the championship. It sets the bar extremely high, I think, for how you think about the rest of your career. You know that I recently had a conversation with your Spirit teammate, Hal Hirschfeld. She talked specifically about how when she joined the league with her rookie class and became part of the Spirit, that you and so many of the other leaders and veterans on the team welcomed them with open arms and really made it just easy for them to transition into the environment and the team culture. Talk about your first experience. Like, what was it like coming into such a championship caliber club, getting off to that fast start? And do you remember maybe certain people in particular putting a hand out to help you with your rookie year?
Yeah, I think I had like the same experience. We had an amazing team that year, and coming into that year, it was like definitely really scary because you have big names on your team like Kelly O'Hara and Emily Sonnet, Andy Sullivan, all who have been with the national team. That's like, you're like a fan. So when you go into the first training and you're like, wow, like I don't want them to think I suck. But then you go into the first training, you miss a pass or something, and they're the first ones to lift you up. You're like, okay, like I can do this. You feel more comfortable. So I think definitely feeling that comfortability from me with the older girls who have been on the team, anytime there's a new player or something, I think it's always great to help them and not like put them down from the start. Like always help them, encourage them, and like just make them feel comfortable. And that's when people will play at their best.
Other than those little moments of encouragement that you just described there, what were some of the other maybe little things that maybe aren't so obvious to like just an independent observer that maybe you saw veterans like Kelly O'Hara and Emily Sonnet doing that you started to say, okay, like these are things that I can do more of, or I can, that I'm not doing that I can start to do. It could be anything. It could be on the pitch, off the pitch, training, not training. What were some of those little things that may not be so obvious that maybe you picked up on in those early days?
I think definitely like when we first came in and like before training, we see them doing like their prehab and like these exercises to get ready for training. And you just come from college where it's like, everyone's young. You all just like roll up and like get out to training, put on your boots and like start running. And then you like come into this professional environment and people have like a whole routine to do before training actually starts. I feel like watching that and seeing that helped me in my professional career, like actually be locked in and be ready for training and doing those things necessary to help me feel that way before training now.
So were there specific routine changes, different things? You mentioned prehab, or were there specific changes that you implemented right away for your own work? Or was it just almost like a mindset? Like, okay, there's the preparation and then there's the preparation for the preparation. Talk about that for a minute.
Yeah, I think the mindset is just like every training is as important as the game coming up that weekend. Like you need to perform well in training to be picked for the game. So having that mindset, and then also just like doing exercises that make you feel like you are ready. So you're just not running, like you don't wake up and just run to the field and maybe like that first jog of the day or the first like passing pattern of the day, you're not feeling like 100% because your body's still like barely waking up. Now it's like doing banded exercises before, stretching, rolling out, so that when you do get onto the pitch, it's like from the first moment you're ready to be locked in both physically and mentally.
So Tara, I want to dig into the transition that you made from forward to defender. I mean, you have this great rookie year, you have a great sophomore year, and then the team comes to you and says, we want to shift you to defender, and not only a defender, but a center back. I am curious, now I've had conversations in the past on the podcast with Chicago Cubs legend, two-time World Series champion, Ben Zobrist, and he's famous for being like this super utility player. He played every position at the major league level except for catcher. And we had this extraordinary conversation about his adaptability and versatility and preparing to play new positions and learning to play new positions. But I'm curious, like to dig into your story, it's just so interesting to me because, I mean, you had developed a craft at one position and you were playing it at an extremely high level, and then somebody asks you to kind of totally change gears and develop a craft at a totally different position. Talk about like your initial reaction, the lead up to that. How did that all come together? And then I want to get into like what you did to prepare to transition into a defender, and not only a defender, but one of the best defenders in the NWSL.
Thanks. Initially, when he first came to me, it was my GM at the time. I was in complete shock. It was like our end of the season meeting, and I had a feeling like he was going to try and transition me to maybe an outside back, because at the last game before season ended, our defensive coach came up to me and was like, "Oh, I'll be seeing a lot of you next year." So I was like, okay, they want to move me to outside back. Forwards do that. Usually outside forwards go to outside back. I think I can do that. And then when I get into the meeting and he says center back, I think my jaw hit the floor. He saw the shock on my face. I had to basically ask to leave the meeting and not give him an answer. I needed a week or something to sit on it. And I was like, we can meet in a week at a later date while I think about this. But after the initial thought and talking to my parents and my agent and just hearing out my GM and the vision he saw for me at center back, I decided that, yeah, I'm going to try this and do it to the best of my ability and see where it gets me.
What do you think it was initially that they saw in you, that physically and mentally, right? Because there's got to be some distinct physical skill sets that they see in your play on the field, but then they also probably have to believe that you have the mental skills and the fortitude to be able to make a transition like this at the professional level so seamlessly like you have. Talk about that. Where do you think, or what did they tell you kind of it came from initially in terms of the idea?
I think he said initially, it was my hold up play. I'm pretty physical and I was a physical forward. I wasn't shying out of tackles, good positioning. So it was all that a center back needs to have. And then I also pride myself in being a leader on the field, helping the players around me. And that's definitely an attribute of a center back. So I think once he saw those and my comfortability on the ball, he was like, this could be a good fit for you going forward and expanding your career.
So you made the transition. As I said, you're not just a defender, you're one of the best defenders in the NWSL. 2024, you were a finalist for NWSL Defender of the Year. You were also an Iron Woman. You appeared in every minute of every match for your club. You're one of only 7 women in the entire league to accomplish that feat. So you're not just performing, you're performing consistently and at an extremely high level. I'm curious, when you start to get into preparing for that transition, I would imagine preparing for that transition and then getting onto the pitch and doing it are two distinctly different things. Do you remember moments where you're in matches and you're at center back and you're starting to think to yourself, oh goodness, what did I do? Or is this really for me? Or was it just all confidence from that point because you had put in the work?
Definitely not. That first year was definitely, I went into games and I was still not comfortable, not confident. I think I had some mental breakdowns here or there. I did not feel comfortable going against the best forwards in the league. When I saw we were playing Sophia Smith that weekend, I was basically couldn't sleep all week because I was just so nervous about looking like a fool, basically. But as that year went on and I felt more comfortable, I did more research for myself, more film, more practice, more training in that position. That's when I started to get more comfortable. In the second year, it was still a learning basis, but as I grew my confidence and just saw the way I was able to really take control and blossom back there, even though my first year wasn't great, I think that's when, if you have confidence, then you can feel pretty comfortable. So once you get both of those, then the rest will come, I think.
All right, everyone. We'll get back to the conversation momentarily. But first, I want to tell you about my free weekly email newsletter, Tarp Pullers. Each week, I share an uplifting and inspirational tarp pulling story that is sure to brighten your day. And I also highlight some of the most powerful ideas I've learned on my journey talking to 200 and counting of the world's top performers. The newsletter is short, concise, and a reader recently told me this. She said it makes her day every time it hits her inbox. Go to everybodypullsthetarp.com/newsletter to sign up today. So Tara, I am curious, you just mentioned video there and getting an opportunity to like get some of your matches on film at the position and learn a little bit more. I'm always curious to ask athletes, do you feel like you learn more watching your own film or watching your peers around the league, around the world play the position? Talk about that for a minute.
I think initially learning from other people, like definitely when I first got told and then I hadn't had any film on myself, it was watching a lot of other people, even men and women, learning from the best of the world. And then now that I do have my own film, it's definitely like tweaking little things that I do consistently. So now it's more tailored to like myself. I think both definitely help a lot, but now I do like to watch my film more to just tweak the things that I've been doing.
Tara, I'm also curious. Let's use the word unlearn. Were there things that you almost had to like unlearn and totally like rewire in the way you play soccer, in the way you think about the game that maybe served you well as a forward, but like wouldn't serve you well as a defender that you had to like totally unlearn and rewire? Any examples of that where you have to totally change things up in terms of how you're thinking?
I probably could still learn that. My coach probably thinks because I like to go forward. So if I see the opening to go forward and join the attack, I'm going to go. My coach is probably like wanting me to stay back a little more. But yeah, I think there's definitely some things. I can't really think of anything off the top of my head. But yeah, I like to join the attack as a center back, which isn't the most common. So maybe that.
Well, in addition to juggling different roles and responsibilities over the years for the Washington Spirit, you're also juggle roles both with the Spirit and with the national team. Yesterday, U.S. Soccer announced that you've been called up once again to the U.S. Women's National Team for the team's matches against Portugal and New Zealand later here in October. It's your sixth consecutive call-up to the U.S. senior team in just your third season at the center back position, as we've talked about. 8 total appearances for U.S. Women's National Team so far. I am curious, how do you juggle the different roles between club and country? And just talk about that for a minute, because that's something that I don't think everybody looking from the outside has a complete appreciation for how challenging that might be.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely harder in the sense that before I used to have like 2-week windows where I had no games. It was like during the international break, you had some time off. And now it's just like the whole season there's like basically no time off for people who go to international break. So I think that was an adjustment, like not really having the time off. But I also think both of the environments serve to help the other one. So when I'm at Spirit and I'm learning from my coaches there, my teammates there, and just getting better every day, I think that helps when I go to the national team and vice versa. Being at the national team with all the amazing players and the amazing coaches, I feel like you learn so much in those short, like 2 weeks, but being able to come home and apply it to the games like they want to see. So I think just being in both environments, you're really improving your game throughout the whole year.
What about from like a strategic or tactical perspective? I mean, I would imagine some people might say, oh, well, soccer is soccer. But at the end of the day, like there's probably different nuances and there's different tactical things that you're being asked to do by the coaching staff for the national team versus what you're being asked to do with the Spirit. How do you keep it all straight? Like in my mind, it's like, not to oversimplify this, it would be like you're an actor in 2 plays on Broadway at the same time, right? Like, and you're trying to keep your lines straight and know where you're supposed to go when. Like, talk about that. How hard is that to navigate?
Yeah, it is pretty difficult because there are like definitely different tactics. Even with the Spirit, there's like different tactics each week for each game. And same thing with the national team. Whoever we're playing, there's going to be a different game plan. But I think both do a great job of giving us the information we need. So when we do go to camp, there's a bunch of film and a bunch of like meetings and PowerPoints that show basically written out what we want to do, what we want to accomplish at this camp. And we get to keep those. So I do like a little refresher before every camp to make sure I have like the fundamental tactics that they want there. And I'm caught up on that before going into those games and into those trainings.
What would you say is like the biggest difference? Both units obviously have tremendous cultures, and there's just, the U.S. women's national team, obviously like the record and level of success, like over so many years speaks for itself. I mean, it's just an incredible culture, incredible environment. With the Spirit, I mean, I told this to Hal when we recorded our conversation a number of weeks ago. I mean, I've been to Audi. I've watched you guys live. I mean, there's no question that you all are a connected bunch. And it seems like there's just an extraordinary culture at the Spirit. With the Spirit, you have an opportunity to develop that rapport with one another and that camaraderie over like an extended, sustained period of time. With the national team, you guys are all kind of coming together quick, then departing quick, and then maybe you spend some more time together quick. Like, talk about that. How do you build a great team environment and camaraderie in those two distinctly different environments and situations?
I think with the national team, it is crazy because we get to camp and then like 3 days later, we're playing a game. So we have basically like 2 trainings to really get to know each other on and off the field. But I think the environment is just such a high level that everyone is basically on the same page. And they also do a great job with the meetings that we have. There's a lot of team bonding meetings. So even in that short period of time, we're really getting to know each other. And it's pretty comfortable on the field because we all have like that basic understanding of what needs to be done. At Spirit, it's like a daily thing where we're always hanging out. We're always just having fun with each other, that we really created a good environment on and off the field, that on the field, it shows like we are connected and we have each other's backs and we have a lot of fun. So definitely 2 different environments, but I do feel very comfortable at both.
You know, it's interesting. I'm thinking back to some of my other conversations I've had with some of the U.S. women's national team stars over the years. And, you know, I've talked to so many: Ali Krieger, Carly Lloyd, Christine Lilly, Christy Pierce-Rampone, Heather O'Reilly, Lindsay Tarpley, and so many more. And I just remember parts of those conversations where people have said the practices for the U.S. women's national team are so competitive, so intense, that sometimes they're even more competitive than the international matches, depending on who we're playing. How do you talked before about how there's just not as much like rest in the schedule for you and downtime when you're in international camps and competition. How do you keep that intensity up? Like, how do you show up in that environment and are just ready to go? And I think the word somebody used, it may have been Heather O'Reilly years ago, she called it like a competitive cauldron. Like, she said it was so hot and intense in terms of the competition. Like, talk about that. Because like, if people listening, like whether they're playing a sport or they're doing, you know, they're doing something in business or they're working in their community, like we're all in these like intense environments from time to time. How do you manage that? How do you navigate that? How are you ready when you put your feet right there?
I think it's a little bit of everything. Like the medical staff they have there to make sure we are ready to go out there and compete every day is amazing. But then also just the mindset. I think everyone who is at that environment has like the mindset of being the best that they can be and the best basically at that camp. Like, you want to do the best for yourself, but also for the team and preparing whoever is starting or whoever isn't for the game coming ahead. So whatever role you have during that training session, it's always giving your best. And I think that's a big thing that everyone there like learned and just has that like common knowledge when we do get invited to camp. It's just giving your best no matter what it is going to be that day, what role you're going to be in, and just helping the team prepare for whatever's coming up.
What do you credit most for your great mindset and your work ethic? I'm always fascinated to ask high performers, like, do you think your work ethic is something that you were born with or something that you developed over time? Like, where does the great mindset and work ethic and Tara McKeown come from?
I think growing up, it was like what my parents instilled in me and what they instilled in my siblings. It was always work for what you wanted and nothing ever is going to be given to you. There was a saying that my mom always said was like, hard work beats talent unless talent works hard. So just always having that growing up, and like, you could be talented, but if someone's working harder than you, then they could surpass you. So having that talent and also working hard, you're going to keep just improving in whatever you do in life.
Do you remember specific moments, maybe as a kid, as a teenager, whether it was in soccer or off the field, where you felt like your parents had an opportunity to kind of model those kind of lessons for you, or there was a moment that you encountered some adversity and they were able to really remind you of that idea there?
Yeah, I think definitely when growing up in like high school, I think I didn't make like the U17 World Cup team. And obviously like that's something at that time where you really wanted to make it. And my best friends were making it. I was in that pool like the whole time, but it wasn't like, oh, you should have been there. We feel so like sorry for you, which they did. But it was, what can you do to get better? What can you do to get called back in next time? How can we improve? And just always encouraging me to look ahead instead of looking behind at what it could have been.
How do you apply that idea like in real time today? When you're in a match and something's not going your way, do you kind of go back to a moment like that and like you focus on what you can do going forward? How do you navigate moments where things are just not going your way, like today?
I mean, during a match too, there's so many different points where the game can either go bad or go good. And like, if you make a bad pass that leads to something, are you going to dwell on it and like do another one 30 seconds later? Are you going to change your mindset and think about do like the mindset in your head, just, okay, just next one, easy pass, complete this pass. Like it can change the game if you just think like, wow, why did I do that? That was so bad. Instead, you're like, okay, whatever, that's over with. Let's think about the next minute and just keep going forward instead of looking back at what just happened.
Tara, what do you think? I asked you before, like, what do you kind of credit most for your work ethic and your mindset? What about your leadership and that team-oriented approach? You've mentioned it on numerous occasions. I mean, you're so team-oriented. It's evident in, obviously, through our conversation. It's evident watching you play, the way you go about your business. Where does that idea of just leading by example, being so team-oriented, where do you think that comes from?
Probably also growing up, like with my siblings, I feel like I was always just kind of the mom of our sibling group. I have 3 siblings, so just always trying to keep my siblings in line. I was always kind of just grew up. I had 2 younger sisters, 1 older brother, but my older brother could get into some mischief sometimes. So just trying to keep everyone in line and everyone doing the right thing and doing what mom and dad wanted. I think that definitely translates onto the field, and like just leading by example on the field is what I also try and do off the field.
Speaking of your mom, I ran across this incredible story that she shared where, and I don't know if you know this, but like when she goes to games, she says she walks up to fans who are wearing your jersey.
Yeah.
She takes pictures with them. She thanks them for supporting you. And she asks them, and I think this is like the coolest part of this whole thing. She asked them what inspired them to buy my daughter's jersey. What did you first think when you heard that your mom was doing that?
I was like, she's so funny. Literally, my first thought was like, Mom, you're so funny.
Have you thought about, obviously, your career makes her incredibly proud. I'm curious, it obviously means something to her when she walks around a stadium and sees adults and kids wearing McKeown jerseys. Obviously gives her just a huge sense of pride. Have you thought about that? There are people in the crowd wearing McKeown jerseys that aspire to be more like you or look up to you. Do you think about that? Or is it just your mom walking around the concourse, introducing herself to people at the stadium? Talk about that for a minute.
No, it's amazing. Anytime I see a fan wearing my jersey, I'm shocked as well. I'm like, why did they choose my jersey over someone else's on my team or someone else's in the world, really? But every time I see it, I do get a sense of pride and like just trying to make them proud and make everyone proud who is a fan of me. Just doing my best on and off the field to make those people proud.
What would it look like if somebody was describing you as an athlete? What would make you proud? Like, how would you want them to describe you?
Hard worker, never quits, always doing what's best for the team, encouraging. Basically, yeah, just a team player all around.
A tarp puller, as I like to say, Tara. Living everybody pulls the tarp mindset. There's no question, watching you play and the way you go about your business, there is no question that you are a tarp puller. I'm curious, as we get ready to wrap up our conversation, You've been so generous with your time. What would you say is the biggest area of growth for you professionally? It could be something tactically on the pitch, or it could be something mindset-wise off it. What's the biggest area of growth for you as an athlete?
I think just being able to build up both left and right foot, no matter what side I'm on the pitch or what position I'm in, left center back, right center back, if we play in a 3-back, inside, outside. So just being able to be more versatile in those instances and more tactically aware on the field of what the game is presenting.
Tara, I also want to know, I asked Hal this question. She's passionate about checking out different coffee houses around the country and checking out farmers markets. What do you do when you're not training or playing? What do you do for fun? What do you do to kind of disconnect a little bit?
My fiance and I like to go play golf. I'm not very good, but he's good. So I like to go watch him. I'll hit a few balls. I really love just hanging out with him, hanging out with my friends, spending good quality time with people.
And Tara, last question. If you weren't playing professional soccer, what do you think you'd be doing as a career? Have you ever thought about that?
Not lately, because it's going pretty
well. It's going pretty well.
Yeah. I don't know what's going to come after soccer, but yeah, hopefully I want to be a mom one day. So that first.
Very, very cool. That very, very exciting. That would be awesome. Was there something though that like at some point you said, hey, if I don't go play professional soccer, like I think I might have an interest in doing this? Was there any kind of other path, or was it so focused on this?
Soccer was number one, but I always thought it'd be cool to be like a broadcast journalist, like a sports commentator, something in the field still, but not playing on the field. Yeah.
Well, Tara, this conversation has been so much fun. I know I have learned a ton. I enjoy getting out to Audi Field once in a while and seeing you all play. We're going to keep getting rowdy at Audi, rooting you all on. And I know with the work that you put in, there's going to be more and more people around those stadiums in McKeown jerseys over the years for your mom to go introduce herself. It's going to get very time consuming, I think, if things continue the way they are. There is no question, Tara, that you are a tarp puller, a certified member of the Everybody Pulls the Tarp family. We'll have to do a part 2 sometime, all right?
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much for having me.
Tara, thank you. We'll talk again soon. Thank you for joining me this week. Be sure to subscribe in your favorite podcast app so you can catch all of our upcoming episodes. And if you are like me and want a world full of tarp pullers, then leave a review to help others find us. You can also follow me on Instagram at AndrewMoses123 and sign up for my email newsletter at everybodypullsthetarp.com/newsletter. I'll share tips and insights to help you achieve maximum success and happiness. Until next time, keep pulling the tarp.